Friends, it's been said of baseball that just when you've gotten used to saying hello, you say goodbye. And that's how I feel today. Last night, a dear friend to all of us, Arne Harris, passed away at the age of 67. Arne was the unseen and unheard genius of Cubs telecast for over 38 years. For Arne, the players, fans, crew, and broadcasters were part of his family, and Wrigley Field was his home. His career spanned the globe with the Harlem Globetrotters, the glory days with the Bulls, the Blackhawks, White Sox, and of course his beloved Chicago Cubs. And he shaped the vision of his industry and its participants for 3 generations. Arne was a man of many loves, hat shots and Sammy's hops, white shoes and white belts, a good track tip and a bad track tip, a great deli, a cold glass of milk, Beanie Babies, and more Beanie Babies, Cubs wins, Cubs losses, and of course his place in the history of WGN in beautiful Wrigley Field. But most of all, Arne loved his family. His lovely wife of 42 years, Arlene, his 2 sons, Craig and Lyle, his daughter-in-law, Lori, and his 2 grandchildren, Matthew Ryan and Olivia. Arne Harris is my friend. He's my pal and my grandfather in Chicago that I never got a chance to know. I wish I had one more chance to say hello, goodbye, and I love you. Arne, we miss you. To millions of Cubs fans, he was just Arne, the guy calling the shots in the truck that you never got to see. Arne Harris was a lifelong Chicagoan who started at WGN over 40 years ago. His first real break in show business came with the Harlem Globetrotters. Arne took a job as the public address announcer for the team and toured the world with the Trotters. But it was Chicago and the Cubs that called Arne home. After several years of doing all sorts of jobs at the station, Arne took over the director's chair for Cubs baseball in 1964. For the next 4 decades, he showed us Cub teams in triumph and disarray, but always found a way to make the game entertaining. If anyone turned Wrigley Field into a national shrine, it was Arne. His shots of baseball in the sunshine were must-see TV across America on the WGN Superstation. He was a fan at heart and found a way to make each game a special event. He leaves behind a wonderful family, his wife Arlene, sons Craig and Lyle, and 2 grandchildren. He was a pal to thousands, but above all, he was the ultimate Cub fan.
I'm a Cub fan. Always been a Cub fan my whole life. And I love for them to win, and I hate for them to lose. I am a fan. I mean, if you're in the truck, and you have been over the years, and you'll hear me whooping for the Cubs. Come on, get a hit. Do something. Come on, Sammy, pop one out.
The chase is on. Everything I feared has come to pass. A deadly hunt to rid the world of this new kind of human being.
The Genetic Security Agency will take superpowered freaks into custody under a cloak of absolute secrecy.
This is it. The series premiere of the most anticipated new action hour of the season. This is Mutant X.
Tonight at 7 Eastern on WGN.
Gentlemen, if you keep dogging it, we're gonna run all night. Now let's go. Come on, let's go! Move, move, move! That's better. That's looking.
What if stopping was as hard for you
Just run it off, run it off! Come on, show me some hustle.
as it is for your car?
It's okay.
Treat your car right with Ray-Bustus Quiet Stop Brakes, new at Pep Boys. Keep your wheels clean and save up to $40 on these ultra-quiet, low-dusting brakes.
Oh, it's gonna be a long season.
All you need to know is where to go. Pep Boys.
15 million people in America have type 2 diabetes, and my own grandmother lost her battle. If you have type 2 diabetes, it's more important than ever to watch what you eat and exercise regularly. And if that's not enough, ask your doctor about adding Avandia to your daily routine. Avandia is different from some diabetes medications. It helps your body use the natural insulin it's already making to help lower your blood sugar. With the addition of Avandia, a lot of people have been able to lower their blood sugar.
Avandia in combination with insulin may increase the risk of serious heart problems. Because of this, talk to your doctor before using Avandia and insulin together. Avandia may cause fluid retention or swelling, which could lead to or worsen heart failure. Avandia is not for everyone. If you have severe heart failure or active liver disease, Avandia is not recommended. Some people may experience weight gain with Avandia. Premenopausal women may be at increased risk of pregnancy. To check for serious liver problems, blood tests should be conducted before and during Avandia therapy.
Diet, exercise, and ask your doctor about adding Avandia. You can be stronger than diabetes.
Friends, there's nothing Arne Harris loved more than a beautiful, cloudless blue sky, a panoramic shot of Wrigley Field with the bleachers filled up, and a big crowd on hand for a Cubs ball game. Arne Harris certainly knew how to bring a lot of smiles to the fans' faces at home and to our faces and all the members of our crew as well. It was a rare treat when you got a chance to see Arne Harris on camera, and we had that opportunity last year on, believe it or not, a Beanie Baby Day. We had a chance to talk with Arne Harris on the Leadoff Man program, and let's relive those wonderful moments of a year ago. And joining us on the Leadoff Man is a man who's been here for 37 years of Cubs baseball, a man, a myth, the legend, Arne Harris, who's seen just about everything that there is to see with Cubs baseball. And Arne, how does this season rank for you with your WGN career?
Well, it's always fun for the crew, Chip, but of the 37, this might be one of the toughest because after last year, I thought, we might be a little better, more improved team. Thank goodness for Sammy, because he at least you've got something to shoot all the time. But Wrigley Field is still Wrigley Field, and there's still people, and there's still kids, and there's still pretty gals, and there's still rooftops, and there's still boats. So no matter what the score is, it's still fun to come to Wrigley Field.
That's the one great thing about the game of baseball, is that it's such a timeless game, and every time you come to Wrigley Field, nothing seems to change. Has that surprised you in your 37-year tenure?
Not really. I mean, it's. I've always felt that Wrigley Field might be the #1 attraction in Chicago, particularly in the summertime, obviously. Over the years, even with teams that haven't done well, we've always had the one superstar. Ernie, when things weren't going well. Andre Dawson, when things weren't going well. Sammy now. And I think as long as you've got somebody you can focus on and have fun with, the people are going to enjoy the game. Believe me, Chip, I've walked out of that truck many times when we've lost 2 games and feeling low and saying, boy, I'm going to walk by some people who are going to punch me out. And they're happy because they saw Ernie hit a home run. You forget, so many people come out here just to enjoy themselves. Some people plan a trip out here for months, maybe years in advance. I mean, everybody wants the Cubs to win, but if you can't win, at least have a good time. And most of the people that come to this ballpark have a good time.
Today, always a special day for you, Arne. Today is Aurora, the Polar Bear Beanie Baby Day. Now, you're getting 2 of these from John McDonough, the Cubs Vice President of Broadcasting and Marketing. How many more Beanie Babies do you expect to haul off before the day is done? You can be honest, just between us.
We're pals, so I would never lie to you. I'm not quite sure, but I'm sure there'll be a package in the trunk of the car somewhere.
So every kid in Skokie expect a delivery from Santa Arne before the day is done. But 37 years of covering sports in Chicago, Arne. You mentioned the Globetrotters, the Bulls, the Cubs. Who are some of the favorite personalities you've had a chance to run into in your broadcasting career?
Well, certainly baseball is my favorite sport. With the Bulls, the run they had of 8 years of winning championships was great. And, of course, you can't beat guys like Michael and Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman for strange personalities. But here at Wrigley, I've been lucky, Chip. Broadcasters and players, I can't think of a bad guy I've dealt with. And some of the things that stand out over the years, of course, Ernie's 500, that was the first real big occasion I can think about. But certainly Kerry's 20 strikeouts, the one game, was brilliant. Kenny Holtzman pitching 2 no-hitters as a Cub. You can't beat that. But maybe the most single impressive thing that I can think of is Sammy's streak the last 3 years. He's going to have 180 home runs in 3 years. That's unbelievable to me.
The Cubs certainly have not had much luck the last couple of seasons. You being a Chicago guy, what would a Cubs World Series championship mean to the city, and what would it mean to you as you cap your career?
Well, it'd be great for me, but Chip, you've never seen anything. If the Cubs ever win it, shut down Chicago. That would be it. I mean, the Bears celebration was great. The Bulls celebration was great. If the White Sox win it, I'm sure it'll be great, but throw it out the window. If the Cubs win it, look out world.
And everything that you've had the great fortune of covering, all the wonderful events you've seen in your career, you've got a great family, and you've got a grandson, too. What's that like being a grandpa, Arne?
Oh, it's great. Arlene and Laurie and Craig and Matthew Ryan's here. He's going to sing today, and, he's sensational. Maybe the biggest thrill I've ever gotten is I was holding him one day, and I tried to give him back to Laurie and Craig, and he didn't want to leave me. And I said, Matthew, you're my guy. But it's great.
Well, we feel the same way about you, Arne. I didn't get a chance to work with my grandfather, and I mean this sincerely. I love you as if you were he, and you've been like a grandfather and a father to me all at once, and I hope we've got many, many more years of good fun together.
Hey, you're terrific. I've worked with 2 Hall of Fame announcers, Jack Brickhouse, and Milo Hamilton was in the Hall of Fame, and Harry Carey 3, and you're going to be number 4, pal.
We're going to have Jerome Holtzman stop by the booth a little bit later on, and there's no doubt that Arne Harris is a Hall of Famer as a human being, and he should be in the wing at Cooperstown reserved for broadcast personalities as well, for he has meant an awful lot, not just to all of us, but hopefully to all of you and to the industry of broadcasting. Arne Harris, there'll never be another one like you. We will continue with remembrance of our pal Arne Harris right after this.
Follow my lead. Oh, how I need.
Nice collection, Terry.
Nice reminder, too, Howie.
Of
the Sprint store at Radio Shack.
You're 2 minutes slow.
Actually, I'm thousands of minutes ahead.
Get 3,000 Sprint PCS minutes a month only at Radio Shack for just $29.99 a month for 6 months. Plus, save up to $75 in mail-in rebates.
But these clocks are still off.
Well, somebody should reset them.
While somebody else
makes a few phone calls.
Only at the Sprint store at Radio Shack.
Who'd you expect? Bob Dole?
Follow Mark Martin and the Viagra racing team this season.
Get to your doctor for a checkup and find out if a free sample of Viagra is right for you.
And for more information right now, race over to Viagra.com.
Welcome to the show, MLB 2002. Rated E for everyone.
PlayStation.
You can tell when summer has arrived. For one, Arnold Harris, the mayor of Skokie, breaks out the white shoes and the white pants and the ever-present plum shirt to kick off the summer schedule of baseball here on WGN.
Arnie loved to laugh. That was May of last year, Memorial Day, and we all know that somewhere, Arnie, knowing that we pulled out that archive, is telling all of us to stick it somewhere. And Arnie, we miss you. We love you. We're going to try to do baseball. We're going to have plenty of remembrances from some of his friends and colleagues. Vince Lloyd will be along by telephone. Steve Stone will join us, and a cast of characters that you won't want to miss as we remember Arne Harris next.
The Leadoff Man has been brought to you by Chevrolet. If only everything was as dependable as a Chevy. Chevy, we'll be there. Guests on The Leadoff Man receive a handsome piece of jewelry from Henry K. Jewelers. Third level Water Tower Place, Chicago.
Here's your large pizza and free cheesy bread.
Free? I didn't get you anything.
Oh, that's okay.
No, it's not okay.
Oh, well, it's...
Free cheesy bread. That's great. Here you go. I know it's not much, but it's dishwasher safe.
Get a free order of Domino's delicious mozzarella and cheddar-covered cheesy bread when you call now and buy any large one-topping pizza for $9.99. Make it a meal with wings and a 2-liter Coke. Get the door. It's Domino's.
Looks like somebody's driving the calcium bus to Strongbones City.
Hey, how'd you get in here?
Doesn't matter. So did you win?
Win what?
Cyber loot. Dude. Get a gallon of milk. Peel the sticker off the cap. You have a combined 1 in 5 chance to get EA video games, free music, or EA video game discounts online.
Cool.
So how about going halves on that sandwich?
Leave.
Cyber loot on cabs and in stores now.
Dude, that's so cold.
Out.
15 million people in America have type 2 diabetes, and my own grandmother lost her battle. If you have type 2 diabetes, it's more important than ever to watch what you eat and exercise regularly. And if that's not enough, ask your doctor about adding Avandia to your daily routine. Avandia is different from some diabetes medications. It helps your body use the natural insulin it's already making to help lower your blood sugar. With the addition of Avandia, a lot of people have been able to lower their blood sugar.
Avandia in combination with insulin may increase the risk of serious heart problems. Because of this, talk to your doctor before using Avandia and insulin together. Avandia may cause fluid retention or swelling, which could lead to or worsen heart failure. Avandia is not for everyone. If you have severe heart failure or active liver disease, Avandia is not recommended. Some people may experience weight gain with Avandia. Premenopausal women may be at increased risk of pregnancy. To check for serious liver problems, blood tests should be conducted before and during Avandia therapy.
Diet, exercise, and ask your doctor about adding Avandia. You can be stronger than diabetes.
Hard tip for two. Yes! Big time basketer. The Bulls lead by 3. Inside of 3 minutes to go.
And, you know, he loved for me to do the thing that and one thing that I can say that you know, I'm never gonna forget him and all the great time that we had together. And every time we speak together, he's always admired me. So I mean, it's a tough morning. I mean, it's not a great news for anybody.
It's been a tough day for all of us here in Chicago. Those who knew Arne Harris and had the good fortune to work with him. Arne passed away last night here in downtown Chicago, and we will try to remember him on this final day of the 2001 season. Joe Carter, your thoughts on Arne Harris in your first season here in Chicago?
Well, Chip, the great thing about baseball is it's not the game itself, but it's the people that your paths cross and the people that you meet. And I can say that my life is a lot better because it crossed the path of one of the great producers, and not only producers, but a great director in the game of baseball and a great friend. I'm very happy to say that I had a chance to work with one of the best ones, Arne Harris. I've known him for 21 years, and it's been 21 enjoyable years. Arne, pal, we're going to miss you.
No doubt about that. There will be a moment of silence for Arne Harris here at the ballpark. Let's pause for that right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as we take a moment to remember a legendary producer, director of Chicago Cubs baseball. Last night, the Chicago Cubs, WGN Television, and the sport of baseball experienced the loss of a true friend. For the last 38 years, he was the producer, director of Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN-TV, and considered by many to be the pioneer for how baseball is broadcast on television. Though not often seen on camera, he was the genius behind Cubs telecasts. At this time, we ask that you please join us in a moment of silence to honor WGN Television producer-director Arne Harris. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing. Please remain standing and join Wayne and Kathleen Messmer as they honor the United States by performing the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled
Chicago Cubs baseball, brought to you by Budweiser. With the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer, this Bud's for you. Illinois Lottery, where players have more fun. Pepsi, the joy of Pepsi.
Code red. Officers down in command.
On the season premiere of Andromeda, it's an enemy they hoped never to face. It will destroy everything and everyone. Too many.
That's impossible.
Too powerful. Too late.
We're not back here in 3 hours.
To turn back.
Blow it to hell.
Don't miss the stunning season premiere. Andromeda.
Tonight at 8 Eastern on WGN.
A beer is only as good as the ingredients used to brew it. That's why Budweiser uses only the finest all-natural ingredients, hand-selected to deliver a taste, a smoothness, and a drinkability you won't find in any other beer at any price.
This Bud's for you. And you and you and you. This Bud's for you.
Nice collection, Terry.
Nice reminder, too, Howie.
Oh?
Of the Sprint store at Radio Shack.
You're 2 minutes slow.
Actually, I'm thousands of minutes ahead.
Get 3,000 Sprint PCS minutes a month only at Radio Shack for just $29.99 a month for 6 months. Plus, save up to $75 in mail-in rebates.
But these clocks are still off.
Well, somebody should reset them.
While somebody else...
Makes a few phone calls.
Only at the Sprint store at Radio Shack.
Back here in Chicago, it's the final game of the 2001 season, and you know Arne Harris, watching from those blue skies above, would tell us, show's got to go on, kids, so there is a game to be played. It is the final game of this season for the Cubs, who've had a remarkable year, winning 88 times, losing 73. Pittsburgh Pirates' Joe Carter come in at 61 and 100, and boy, an incredible last game that Arne produced yesterday. The Cubs bombarding the Pittsburgh Pirates, an inside-the-park home run from Sammy Sosa, and a near no-hitter from Julian Tavares.
Well, it was all that you could ask for, and a great job by Julian Tavares. But, you know, one of Arne's favorite players, Sammy Sosa, coming through with the inside-the-park home run number 63. So, you know, Sammy's going through a little bit, but you know what? Sammy may hit 5 or 6 home runs today. That would be great.
That would be great. And again, our thanks to so many of Arne's well-wishers. I know, speaking for his family, that they are so appreciative of all the prayers and thoughts at this very sad time. The fans who have been so kind with their notes and with their signs. And a special tip of the cap to our crew today. Best baseball crew in the industry, working with a heavy heart. For Arne Harris was a father figure to all of them as well. And they're thinking of Arne Harris, as we all are today, as well. As the Cubs take the field, let's get you up to date on the Pittsburgh Pirates starting lineup here in the top of the first inning. Todd Ritchie is going to lead things off. He's a pitcher. Now, the reason for that is very simple. Craig Wilson is going to get an early chance to pinch hit for the Pittsburgh Ball Club, and then they'll get him some at-bats. He's trying to hit a pinch hit home run. If he does, that'd be the 8th of the year, and that would be a new Major League record. Jack Wilson is at shortstop. Brian Giles is in left. Aramis Ramirez in third. Warren Morris at second. Rob Makoviak is the right fielder. Gary Matthews Jr. in center. Keith Osick behind the plate. And left-hander Jimmy Anderson is on the mound for the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Cubs' joy of Pepsi defense as White, Brown, and Sosa in the outfield. Tucker, Young, Gutierrez, and DeShields on the infield. Robert Machado behind the plate, and Juan Cruz Joe Carter is seeking his 4th win of the season. He's thrown very well.
Well, he's been a pleasant surprise this year, coming up from Double-A, and he seems to handle himself very well. Great composure, and with the 31 strikeouts, only 13 base on balls, he has commanded the strike zone, but his great asset is his arm. And he throws a great sinking fastball, a very good slider, and a Pedro Martinez-like changeup. And, you know, Chip, getting this guy for a full year next year with this Cub pitching staff, I mean, is only going to help this ball club more than anything. And Juan Cruz will be very instrumental next year.
Talking in strict baseball terms, Joe, Does the fact that Cruz has not gone past 6 innings, is that any cause of concern? I mean, you look at him, he's a man of a very slight build with an overpowering fastball. Is that something the Cubs will have to monitor and get ready to adjust for in spring training and beyond?
Well, that is something they would do, and I'm sure an all-season program will be provided for Juan Cruz in a way to have his stamina increase where he can go to the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings and possibly get to that 115, 120 pitch limit that they will, kind of the standard for all the power pitchers. But maybe a little bit more weight, all-season program, and Juan will be right there because he has the ability and he has the stuff to go out there and pitch.
Change in the Pirate lineup. It's Jack Wilson leading off instead of Todd Ritchie. Lloyd McClendon flip-flops those 2 men, so it's Jack Wilson first. We apologize for that. Wilson at shortstop, hitting .223 with 3 home runs and 25 driven in for the Pirates a couple of years ago. This man was a highly thought-of prospect in the Cardinals chain. They got Jason Christensen for Wilson, who pops the first pitch up on a chilly day. High sky, who wants it? Michael Tucker makes the play. 1 up, 1 down in the first. And so now Ritchie is taken down. He was announced in the starting lineup, and Craig Wilson will pinch hit. Again, he's hit 7 pinch hit home runs. That's really the only chance he can do that. If he cracks one here in the first inning, that'd be a new major league mark.
Well, one of the things you'll see, Chip, a lot of the last of the season, a lot of first pitch swinging. And Jack Wilson doing his job because a lot of guys have playing the catches and they don't want to be late. So it's not going to be a very pretty ball game where you patience and take your time. And now with Craig Wilson pinch hitting for Todd Ritchie, a lot of things can happen.
Maybe the best at bat of the year for Ritchie as Wilson stands in. 13 home runs, 32 RBIs for Craig Wilson. And he won't get the pinch hit home run, but he is going to get another hit. This guy has had an amazing year against the Cub pitching staff, and they've got to find a way to get him in the lineup next year in Pittsburgh.
Well, they love his bat, but where do you play him? First base, outfield, catcher? No one knows for sure. But Lloyd McClendon and the Pirates will find a way to utilize his bat because the guy swinging the bat the way he does, you cannot keep him on the bench just to be a pitch hitter. I mean, he can do some tremendous damage. You give him 500, 600 plate appearances a year.
Here's Giles, 37 home runs, 95 batted in for the Pirates. We are working on getting Steve Stone on the telephone from his home in Scottsdale, Arizona. And as soon as we can make the connection with Steve, we'll chat with him as we remember our very dear friend Arne Harris today. 1 ball, no strikes to Giles. And Cruz misses with a ball high, says Brian Runge. 2 balls, no strikes. Last chance for a lot of these major league players to make a favorable impression, if not for themselves and for their teams, but for everybody else in Major League Baseball.
Well, with the uncertainty of what may happen next year, will there be baseball? Will there be a lockout? Will there be a strike? No one for sure knows. Or will there be an agreement? I think at this different time, if there is going to be baseball, something needs to be done very quickly. But this is the last game for the Buccos in their first year of the new PNC Park, and they're looking forward to 2002 very quickly.
2 balls and a strike, and it's now 3-1 to Giles with Warren Morris waiting on deck next. Big day in baseball in St. Louis, and the Cardinals have taken a first inning lead of 1-0 over the Astros. If the Cardinals win today, they are the champions of the Central. If Houston wins, they're the champions of the Central, for they would finish in a tie with the Cardinals. And by virtue of a better head-to-head record, Houston would then become the division champion. And that game has huge playoff implications, as everything else is set in the National League. Atlanta's maximum number of wins is 88. If St. Louis wins today, that'd be their 94th. They would have the best record. Cardinals would play the Braves in the first round. The Astros would play the Diamondbacks if things stay as they are. So Hermanson will now come in and pinch run for Giles in the first inning. No time has it been more true that you cannot tell the players without a scorecard. So 2 on, 1 out for Warren Morris.
And we may need a scorecard and some more sheets after this game is over with.
Lights right through there. No balls and a strike. Took a little off. Good changeup. And that's what makes Cruz such an intriguing prospect for his tender age of 20, 21. He's got outstanding control of that pitch. Way high. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cannot believe the outpouring of phone calls that our crew has gotten today as that ball grounded toward Tucker at first. He'll fire to second for 1. The relay to first not in time. Pete Toma telling us that they've gotten phone calls from 14 different Major League Baseball broadcast crews offering their condolences to Arne's family. And guys, we know that means a lot. It means a lot to our guys too. 2 outs here in the top of the first inning. Hermanson was forced at second. Morris is at first with 2 out for Rob Makoviak, a former 53rd round pick of the Pirates from suburban Chicago. And he tried to stop it and he couldn't. Tough day for the man sitting to my right. And we've talked a lot about John, and usually when we'd mention John and Arne's name in the same sentence, the words Beanie Baby didn't fall far behind. Vice President of Broadcasting and Marketing for the Cubs, John McDonough.
Well, Chip, one thing.
The throw to second. They'll stay in the rundown long enough to steal a run. Very good base running at first base by Warren Morris. That allows Greg Wilson to score, and the Pittsburgh Pirates steal a run. John, you were never better. We'll have more with you as we try to laugh through the tears here at Wrigley Field.
Inside an ancient alien artifact, Earth's final stand is about to begin. A new enemy arises.
We have unleashed the final conflict.
And a hero emerges.
You're not like the other humans.
Yeah, I get that lot.
In the season premiere.
This is our world, human. Not yours.
Of Earth Final Conflict. Tonight at 9 Eastern on WGN.
I left the truck unlocked. No, his ears were a bit bigger and the nose was longer. Next thing I knew, the truck was gone.
This him, sir?
Yeah, that's him. That's the guy.
Can't get enough peanuts? Get a Payday. Sweet caramel and tons of salty peanuts.
The long jump. The dash. Life is like a sport, and your feet take the impact hard. But new Stride Guard insoles absorb 50% more heel impact than these Dr. Scholl's. Take more impact in Stride. New Stride Guard insoles.
Well, without a doubt, that moment certainly one of Arne's favorites and the favorite of Cubs fans everywhere. September of 1994 when the Cubs beat the Pirates to clinch the Eastern Division Championship. And John, before we were so rudely interrupted, thanks I know from all of us to everyone with the Cubs for a wonderful day of remembrance for Arne today.
Well, Chip, thank you. Last night was a painful night for all of us. this was a mythical figure. He probably did as much, if not more, to sell Cubs baseball to this enormous fan base than anybody. And he made the friendly confines
even more so.
A little friendlier.
Base hit by Eric Young to lead off the first inning. John, let me give the Cub lineup real quickly. Again, folks, I hope you'll understand baseball is not a real big priority for us today. Young to Shields and Sosa, White, Brown, and Gutierrez, Michael Tucker, Robert Machado, and Juan Cruz rounds out the rest of our Cubs Joy of Pepsi lineup. We can sit back and mourn Arne's loss, and we are certainly going to do that. What I think all of us will remember about Arne, and Joe, you're included, is how he made us laugh. I mean, this was a guy that was a Damon Runyon-esque character right out of any novel you could imagine, and here he was making you laugh.
Well, if you believed in the axiom, you only tease the ones you love, we really loved Arne.
There's no doubt about that. To Shields into the right center field gap. That gets past Chad Hermanson. Young around third is going to score. Delano to Shields with a stand-up triple, and the game is tied 1-1. Arne would be loving this here in the first. And this is how Arne used to cut the game. An old line cut replay. A little TV talk for you, so check this out.
Delano to Shields jumping on the first pitch from Jimmy Anderson, and it rips it into the right center field gap. And all the way from first base, Eric Young with the first Cub run of the ball game, and 2 pitches, 2 hits, 1 run, and slamming Sammy at the plate.
See, nobody really realized, Chip, the one thing in the Beanie Baby reference, among other things, please keep that in mind, there was more than just Beanie Babies. We did find out that Arne's trunk was bigger than Soldier Field.
There's no doubt about that. Yesterday, it was Pez Day.
The last, Arne said to me yesterday, he said, John, give me a hug before the season is over. I said, and I regret this, and it's a painful memory right now. I said, Arne, I'll get you tomorrow. We got 1 more left. And but I did see a huge smile on his face as once again he walked out of my office with 2 armloads of things.
Sosa back up the middle, another base hit, a new career high in RBIs. 2-1. But what I hope you'll appreciate that we're not going to try to be maudlin today, but there aren't enough hours to tell all the stories, and there aren't enough opportunities for all of the people who had a chance to meet him and work with him and spend any time at all to really let you know how we feel.
Well, we would accuse Arne, and I think Pete's got the photo. I think we would accuse Arne periodically of being on the thrifty side, and a few weeks ago, Arne made the purchase, a very generous purchase to the Tribune Disaster Relief Fund, and actually bought 10 hats and was so proud of it that he showcased that $100 bill, and he had to bring you into it. He had to bring, I think he brought Steve Stone into it, and David Kaplan and Jay Blanc, and we all had to witness this. And folks, that is a real $100 bill. Now, we had never seen a single before come out of Arne's pocket, let alone 100.
Chop to the left side, out at second, safe at first. Now, in all fairness, there were a few stretch marks on that 100.
Yes, there were, and it took us a while to wipe the dust off. But I do also want to mention, I'm going to blow the cover on one thing, and this is going to affect your grandfather's legacy as well as Jack Brickhouse's and your tremendous future, Chip. But some of the greatest ad-libs that you guys have ever had in this booth, let's be honest, actually came from one Arne Harris.
There's
you
no
will
doubt.
admit that.
Oh, only the shadow knows is one of the all-time
right.
greats. And, the hat shots obviously give us an opportunity to have some fun. Each show a couple of nuns sitting at the game having a hot dog. Boy, watching the Cubs can be a real habit. There's the shadow shot that Arne loves so much. But I think really Arne's legacy, at least to me, is he's really one of the few guys that understands that the game's not necessarily just about the players, but the people's passions and the people's love and the people's excitement over what takes place on the field. And he would showcase the fans just as much as he would showcase the players performing in front of them.
Well, it gets back to what we were talking about earlier about who has ever showcased this game to America better than Arne Harris. I remember a few years ago, we actually had Bill Cosby up here in the booth. This was when your grandfather was still doing the game. My biggest fear was that Harry was going to call him Bing Crosby. That was that was the biggest trepidation that we had. But Arne shot the ballpark so beautifully. I remember Bill Cosby saying, before I go any further, I just want to say congratulations to your producer, because what I'm seeing up here and what I've seen on TV, this is the most beautiful sight I've ever seen. And that was really, really strong, and what high praise for Arne.
I think that was one of the things that kept Arne going. It was the people, the game. I never saw him have a bad day, and it's because he enjoyed coming to the ballpark and shooting this Wrigley Field crowd.
Wow, Jimmy Anderson, folks, is taking target practice. A terrible throw after he got rocked. Roosevelt Brown's going to move to second, and all hands are safe. Roosevelt Brown is swinging the bat with a whole lot of confidence, and why not? Don Baylor said he's going to be on this Cub team in 2002, and Jimmy Anderson got absolutely crushed by this line drive.
Well, he got behind in the count, and Roosevelt Brown with 7 RBIs yesterday. Come back and catches Anderson on the backside, and Jimmy Anderson 9-17 this year. And Lloyd McClendon, they'll come out and take a look at him, but right now he's just shell-shocked.
2 on, 2 in, still only 1 man out in the Cubs first, leading the Pirates 2-1. We're visiting with John McDonough, the Vice President of Broadcasting and Marketing for the Cubs.
You know, another thing, Chip, I think that we forget sometimes, Arne was this mythical figure. Nobody really believed Arne Harris existed.
All the time.
And I remember a few years ago when we invited Arne to sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game, it was really the first time that he was exposed. And I remember a lot of people saying to me the next day that they didn't believe that there was an Arne Harris. And we brought him to life that day. And he was flattered beyond belief. And I'll never forget what he told me after he sang that song, and you guys have done it, and there was that great adrenaline rush. And he just said, now I understand why Harry loved to do that so much.
And how about how well he sang? I mean,
he was awful, like the rest of them. He was awful.
Well, he had a great time. Here's Ricky. Chop toward third on contact. Rondell White is in a rundown. They'll tag him out. The throw back to third, not in time to get Roosevelt Brown. So that'll be a fielder's choice. And here is Arne singing Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back.
I think my grade just went up. I think he went up to about an 8.5.
That's it.
He was terrific. And Chip, I also want to say what a great friend you have been to him, and how well you've handled this horrible crisis and incident. And last night was a bad night for you.
Well,
and
it was
for
nothing,
myself.
but I tell you what, you can see why Arne loved Arlene so much. She is a special lady, 42 years together, and a wonderful family. He loved his grandchildren so much, Matthew, Ryan, and Olivia. His sons Craig and Lyle, his daughter-in-law Lori, and I know that Arlene would want me to thank the folks at Smith & Wolenski's. They were just wonderful last night under just awful circumstances. And when you talk about real heroes, you talk about the men and women of the paramedic staff of the Chicago Fire Department. They were wonderful. The people at Northwestern Memorial Hospital were absolutely fantastic. They were heroic. Dr. Stephen Adams was there. And John, I know you and Karen came down. Jay Blunk, Pete Toma and his fiancee Cher, Bob Borball was there. A lot of people came down to offer a lot of support to Arlene, and I'm not sure who did more supporting, us or her. She was wonderful. So I'm sure that we'd be remiss if we didn't thank all of you and everyone else for doing all that could be done for Arne last night.
Well, Arlene, we're with you, and the boys were with you long term, and Arne is a legend here. He is the greatest at what he did. He was the greatest sports producer, director, certainly in baseball, that we have ever seen. And I know, Arlene, the last thing that you said to me, if to pass on to Sammy, which I did personally about a half an hour ago, where you said if Sammy has one left in him, have him do it for Arnie. And Sammy said he'll do the best he can. And
well, John, we love you. You've been a great friend, Arnie, and thanks for stopping in and making us laugh a little bit. Hopefully we can do some more of that as time goes on, and certainly I know you won't forget Mr. Ernie Harris, as we used to call him so affectionately. Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Smiling baby, talk.
Go ahead, Merlin. Slapper. Are you high, Clarice?
With a little humor and a great deal of strength.
I would rather have 30 minutes of wonderful than a lifetime of nothing special.
A unique circle of small-town women bond together.
Oh, God, I want to know why.
Academy Award winners Sally Field, Julia Roberts, Shirley MacLaine, and Olympia Dukakis. Steel Magnolias. October 20th on WGN Superstation.
Hey, looks like it's going to be a great race.
Yeah, I guess.
You're new around here, huh?
Yeah.
Well, good luck.
It goes like this. I'll face my ride. I'll take it to the top because I want it. You need it. This will not be tonight. But I'll take little time and I'm never gonna stop.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down.
Good race. Thanks.
Make it a Bud Light.
Who'd you expect? Bob Dole?
Follow Mark Martin and the Viagra racing team this season.
Get to your doctor for a checkup and find out if a free sample of Viagra is right for you.
And for more information right now, race over to Viagra.com.
Gentlemen, if you keep dogging it, we're going to run all night. Now let's go. Come on, let's go. Move, move, move. That's better. That's looking.
What if stopping was as hard for you
Just run it off. Run it off. Come on, show me some hustle.
as it is for your car?
It's okay.
Treat your car right with Ray-Bestis Quiet Stop Brakes, new at Pep Boys. Keep your wheels clean and save up to $40 on these ultra-quiet, low-dusting brakes.
Oh, it's going to be a long season.
All you need to know is where to go. Pep Boys.
He's a great friend of the Cub family, and of course he and Harry Carey had so many good times together. And I guess when you heard the news a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, that Harry Carey had passed in a restaurant, and you hear the same thing about Arne Harris getting ready to eat, you know, so it saddens our heart here in Chicago. And of course, my thoughts and prayers go out to the Harris family, because this is not only a great loss for baseball, but I know he was a family man and he deeply enjoyed the grandkids.
Thank you very much, Billy Williams. And joining us on the phone is the man among our crew who probably knew Arne Harris best and remembers him best, and that's our dear friend Steve Stone. Stoney, I'm glad you made it home safe.
Well, I did, and got a chance to talk with Arnie on the way back with you and John and Arnie in his office, and it's nice to know that he left John's office with a bag of Pez dispensers in his hand, because that's one of the indelible memories of Arne Harris. Leaving John's office was something that, except for the $100 bill and the 10 hats, something that he got for free.
There's no doubt about that. First a ground ball by Makoviak to second, and there's one out in the second inning. Stoney, I don't think we have enough hours in the day to talk about all the Arne Harris stories. But what are the things that stick out in your mind most about him? Not just as the caricature and the lovable character that he was, but as almost like a father figure to you. I know he was that way to me.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, he was a man who he never met a restaurant check that he liked, and he never met a horse that he didn't like. And if you knew Arnie, you knew that his passions were directing baseball games and putting a wager every now and then on a football game or a horse race, and that's really what kept him going. And I remember talking to him. We sat together on the plane. You were kind enough to say, why don't you take this seat and sit with him? And so it was like the old days, sitting on the last couple of trips. And I talked to him about how long he wanted to do this. And he said, oh, I don't know. I said, well, hey, don't tell me you want to do it until the Cubs win, because I'm not sure how much time you got. And he goes, no, you know, I had so much fun this year, I'd like to do it for a few more years. And I said, look, you're just like Harry. I said, you know, what are you going to do if you don't do this? I said, you direct baseball games. That's what you love. I said, I can never see you retiring. And I think it was kind of nice that he was a director until the final day.
You know, Stoney, so many people have said, well, Harry Carey and Jack Brickhouse made Arne Harris famous, along with you in the booth for 17, 18 years. Don't you kind of think it was really the other way around?
I don't think there's any doubt about it. And he did, a lot of people don't realize, Harry was great, and he was the upfront personality. Arne was always the man behind the scenes. And the same thing with Jack Brickhouse. Arne did more baseball than anybody. Arne directed and produced till Pete Toma came along to help him, but more baseball than anybody, including Harry Coyle, the legendary director for NBC. And I think he took pride in the fact that he did make some innovations in this business. And he was the best there was. I mean, hands down. There was no doubt about it. And I think his passion and his love were reflected by how he did the game. And I think you hit it on the head when you said that he realized there were a lot of things going on that didn't happen on the field, and he wanted to show everybody who couldn't make it to Wrigley Field what the baseball experience was really all about, and what Wrigley Field was all about. And Arne had a great aesthetic sense for that, and he'll always be remembered for that.
Mendy Lopez is the hitter. He strikes out. The Pirates are done in the top half of the second inning. Steve, will ask you to hang in there for a commercial break. We'll revisit with you as we head to the bottom of the second inning.
WGN Superstation.
Trust me.
All the comedy, all the action, all the drama. America's Superstation.
It was a shark.
Bringing you the movies you'll always remember.
I can still feel you.
And the moments you'll never forget.
Let's keep going.
WGN Superstation. Yippee-ki-yay. Your Superstation. The movies you love.
Holy cow.
The movies you want.
This is just the beginning.
WGN Superstation.
Welcome to the show, MLB 2002.
Rated E for everyone.
PlayStation.
Behind the scenes, it's the splitter. No, it's the high heat. Did I lock my keys in the car? Is that Sosa? Going for my Pepsi. Sammy. A 1 liter Big Slam from Pepsi. More of the taste you go for.
Change of Heart. Weekdays at 3 Eastern on WGN Superstation.
The party is just getting started. Get with these guys. No! I got to see this. City guys.
Weekdays at 4 Eastern on WGN Superstation.
Manny takes a strike. It's 1-1.
Well, you did such a good job that Chip and I are going to let you pay for our traditional before the plane meal.
All I know is, folks, when I buy dinner, it costs $196. When they buy dinner, it costs $12.
Oh, man. That was the essence of our relationship, Stoney. Wasn't it amazing? He complained about picking up the check, but generous in spirit, he would do it, but he loved it when we teased him about the check.
Well, we finally got him in Pittsburgh on the last trip, and he paid for that dinner, and I remember he didn't eat very much. He didn't eat a whole lot, but I remember you and I almost eating to the point of exploding so we could get the check to $100. I think we got it to like $97, and we had to tell him that we were normally very big tippers. We had to embarrass him into putting a little more money on the tip. I think it was, it was like $117, and he looked at it and he just started shaking his head. It was like typical, and it was a lot of fun. And he was a unique character, and I think that's maybe from his generation, Chip. You think about Jack Brickhouse and Harry Carey, and you think about Arne Harris from that generation. They raised some wonderful characters with great work ethics, Arnie never missed a game. I mean, this was a guy that was so healthy. I think that was so surprising to me was that he never missed a game. You never envisioned Arnie being sick, and then in an instant he was gone.
Yeah, the guys in the truck would tell you, even on the coldest of days, you'd never even hear a sneeze out of Arne Harris. But he was indeed an amazing person. Stoney, the family is going to have the services on Wednesday. Is there any way you can get back for those?
Well, I don't know, Chip. This is the first I heard what, the definitive date, right. So I'm not sure exactly yet, but certainly I will try, and I know that Arne Harris touched a lot of lives, and I'll try.
All right, hey, buddy, we love you.
Okay.
Okay, Stoney, take care.
Bye, guys.
I've got the world on a string.
The chase is on. Everything I feared has come to pass. A deadly hunt to rid the world of this new kind of human being.
The Genetic Security Agency will take superpowered freaks into custody under a cloak of absolute secrecy.
This is it. The series premiere of the most anticipated new action hour of the season. This is Mutant X. Tonight at 7 Eastern on WGN.
Beer is like a natural food product. The fresher it is, the better it tastes. That's why Budweiser has 12 local breweries right here in the United States. So you know our beer will always be fresh.
This was for you. And you, and you. This was for you.
Gentlemen, if you keep dogging it, we're gonna run all night. Now let's go. Come on, let's go! Move, move, move! That's better. That's looking.
What if stopping was as hard for you
Just run it off, run it off! Come on, show me some hustle.
as it is for your car?
That's okay.
Treat your car right with Ray Best's Quiet Stop Brakes, new at Pep Boys. Keep your wheels clean and save up to $40 on these ultra-quiet, low-dusting brakes.
Oh, it's gonna be a long season.
All you need to know is where to go. Pep Boys.
Who'd you expect? Bob Dole?
Follow Mark Martin and the Viagra racing team this season. Get to your doctor for a checkup and find out if a free sample of Viagra is right for you.
And for more information right now, race over to Viagra.com.
I really enjoyed his personality. I'm going to miss him. I mean, people who have known him for a long time, I know they're saddened by his departure, but I'm glad he blessed our lives, with his friendship.
Thanks to Don Baylor. As we move on to our third inning, the Cubs lead the Pirates 2-1 as we remember our dearly departed friend Arne Harris. And Dennis Fitzsimons is here. And Dennis, you probably had maybe the most unique relationship with Arne Harris of all of us. This has been 38 years for Arne as the producer and director of Cubs telecasts. You probably knew Arne for a lot of those years.
Yes, I did. I joined the station in 1982, and Arne was a star already at that point. He was always a gracious guy. At the time when I joined the station, I was the sales manager, but he was just gracious to everyone and a very positive guy.
Dennis, you have seen and overseen so many changes in our industry. It really is amazing to see the span of the career of Arne Harris from a technological standpoint, from film to tape to digital to landlines and phone lines to transcontinental geosynchronous satellites. I mean, this is a man that was at home no matter the medium.
He evolved along with it, and the technology, when you think about the cameras that were being used in the days when Arne first started, these big cameras, not easy to move. I think he did a 4-camera game in those days, and now will be 6 or 7 cameras depending on the day. But Arne, his real magic, I think, was the way he could transmit what went on at Wrigley Field and how much fun it was to be here at the ballpark and to see the great shots of Chicago, the lake. Just that was his real talent. No matter what the technology was, he knew how to use it to transmit those great pictures out to the fans, and not only in Chicago but around the country as WGN's cable circulation grew.
And we're involved in a people business, and Arnie knew people. He had that innate ability to get to the whole soul of a person with one camera shot that would capture the essence of that person's day at the ballpark and then follow that story for 9 innings.
Well, the combination of Arnie and Jack and then Arnie and Harry, just with Steve commenting, and there was so much crosstalk going on the intercoms. That would be the real fun thing to hear if you could hear it. Oh, sure. And that's I think that's what the people really did want to hear at home. What was being said in those earpieces?
I remember the famous Cracker Jack incident, and Arnie got a shot of a kid eating Cracker Jacks, and all Harry could say, "Oh, Arnie, they got you too." You know, he knew how to push the buttons and get them pushed in return. But more than an employee, Dennis, I know that Arnie and Arlene were friends and are friends still.
Well, Arnie, as I said, was a very positive guy and wonderful family. Very, very proud of his family and his 2 boys, and just we're going to miss him enormously, Chip, and I know you are too. You and Joe both, but just a great guy. A credit to WGN and the whole sports production industry. Is going to have a very tough day today, and I know you've been receiving calls from all around the country, people that Arnie worked with, people that admired his work, and WGN's family has certainly lost a really important person.
Do you think Arnie's at the great racetrack in the sky, or do you think he's sitting around arguing with Harry over whether or not this Cub team is better than some of the ones he saw in '84 and '89?
Well, Arnie, he may well be doing that. He may be up there, and Bob Collins may be along in that conversation, but he was always asking about the ratings. Wanted to know what was it like, and in some of the tough years that we had, that's what he'd always tell me. He said, "We're going to make it look good." And there were years when all the fans out there know it was tough to make it look good, but Arnie and all of you folks have done that over time.
Yeah, he cared about 2 things: the ratings and the stock. That's right. Anytime you talk to her, hey, come on, you know.
And maybe the horses and the dogs too. So,
that's right. There was never a bet that he didn't like to take or talk about. Well, I know, Dennis, how proud he was to count you among his friends and his supporters, and I know Arlene and the family are so grateful for you spending a few minutes to reminisce about the time you had.
Well, and on behalf of everybody in the WGN family and the Tribune Company family, we just send our condolences to Arlene and the kids, and just our thoughts and prayers with you.
Dennis, thank you very much.
Thanks.
You have 4 new messages.
Hey, Kelly, it's Gary. Looking forward to tonight. Hey, Kelly, it's Steve. You don't mind hanging backstage with the band, do you? See you tonight.
Hey, Kelly, it's Jack. I can't wait to see you this evening.
It's Mike, you, me, lobsters tonight.
Sometimes life is a wake-up call.
Wake up, little Susie, wake up. Push him up, honey. Push him up so high, you gotta push him down to see.
Brooke Shields is Suddenly Susan.
Weeknights at 1 Eastern on WGN Superstation.
We are a company of Americans. 32,000 men and women
who are proud of our country and company.
32,000 men and women
who pledge allegiance to our flag. 32,000 men and women
with a mission to keep America flying. Nothing can keep our country
or Southwest Airlines
from moving ahead.
Life is like a sport. The impact of each step impacts more than just your feet. But new Stride Guard insoles absorb 50% more heel impact than these Dr. Scholl's. Take more impact in stride. New Stride Guard insoles.
Baseball began to bounce the Cubs' way on opening day. 11th inning, Cubs trailing the Phillies 6-5, and Willie Smith pinch hitting.
Well hit, deep to right, back, run, back, hey, it's all over.
Jack Brickhouse at the microphone. Arne Harris was probably involved in that telecast, as was this next fine gentleman who joins us on the telephone, the man that taught Arne the ropes in the truck just as he taught all of us. Our very dear friend, the legendary Jack Rosenberg. Jack, it's so great to hear from you under such sad circumstances, but we hope today finds you well.
It does, Chip, and thank you very, very much for the beautiful job that all of you people have done on this retrospective on Arne.
Well,
I am touched to such an extent that all the thousands of games that Arne and I did together, never had a crossword between us, and to see this now, I just wish he were back.
Well, Jack, we all feel the same way, and you look at this sunny Sunday in Chicago. I mean, Arne could not have ordered a better day for baseball. I mean, that's something he used to always say. It's a beautiful day, and it's a beautiful day for the Cubbies, kid. That was just Arne. I mean, this is, if ever you could sense that the man's spirit was at Wrigley Field, today would be the day, Jack.
It was there, and somehow it's always going to be there, because he felt, as I do, that the beat goes on, and you young people coming up now will handle things very, very well, and anything that he has done will never be forgotten, and I can't tell you what it means to me to have you in there in your grandfather's chair, and I sat along your grandfather for enough years too, and to have this continuation of this beautiful legacy that is WGN television, that all these people grew up with. I hear it even in retirement. People come up to me and, we used to run home from school and follow what Jack was saying about you, or Harry, what they were saying about Arne, and on and on and on. It's been a perpetual thing, Chip, and I hope that you are there, and Joe and all the rest, to carry this on for many, many, many more years to come.
Jack, that's wonderful of you to say. We really do appreciate that, and I know that our crew, who has so much respect for all that you have done for so many years with WGN, really appreciates the pep talk on a day like today. I'd like to take you back, if you could, to we've seen Arne Harris in the latter stages of his career, really the best years of his career, when he was really the finished product. What was it about Arne Harris that drew him to you, or you to him, as he was your protege in the early years of Cubs baseball on WGN?
Actually, Arne wanted to be Chip Carey in his younger days, which is an impossibility. He wanted to be a sports broadcaster, per se. And Jack Brickhouse, rest his soul, talked him out of it. He heard him do a little audition tape and felt that Arne would be much better in some other end of the business. And the rest is history. And he had a feel. I mean, here's a man who had a feel for the game. I'm not too certain, in retrospect, that Arne could not have been a manager or a coach. He had that sixth sense about it, and he knew the game inside out. We're not really doing brain surgery when we talk about baseball. However, there's a lot of little nuances in there that Arne knew and developed that put him in a class by himself. And I will always miss him and the great, great association we had. I looked upon him, we were too close in age really to be father-son, but he was kind of like one of my kids to me. And we just had a tremendous relationship, and the same goes for Arlene and Craig and Lyle and Craig's family and all. Just a bond of friendship that I think has permeated the whole Channel 9 crew. This means a lot. You can't buy this, and you can't learn it in school. It's something that has transpired over the years, and all of us that have any little niche in there can feel very, very proud that we have worked for WGN Television and the Tribune Company and all its other companies under the umbrella.
Rondell White has lined into a double play here as we continue on in the third inning. We're visiting with Jack Rosenberg. Jack, is there one memory that you could share with us, something that would bring a smile to your face among the early days with you and Arnie together on the WGN telecasts that our fans may not know about, or the hardcore fans might remember a special moment here at the ballpark, on the road, somewhere else?
You have alluded to Arnie's horse racing.
Once or twice.
Jack Brickhouse, Arnie and I went to Arlington Park one day. Arnie was the expert. Jack and I were the neophytes. Very seldom got out there. I saw a horse that I liked the name, Space Skates. I still remember, and it's been 30 years ago. And I said, I'm going to go make a bet. Arnie says, horse doesn't have a chance. I've been following that horse. Forget it. So I lay off the horse. Now the race is run. Space Skates wins by about 8 lengths and pays $16 to win. And as he crosses the finish line, I am grumbling, and Arnie pulls out a ticket and he says, I got him. Yippee!
That's Arnie. Jack, we appreciate it, pal. We love you. We've been thinking about you a lot today, and I know Arnie is smiling wherever he is. Thanks for being with us today.
Above came out to play, and now as I wonder.
Inside an ancient alien artifact, Earth's final stand is about to begin. A new enemy arises.
We have unleashed the final conflict.
And a hero emerges.
You're not like the other humans.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
In the season premiere.
This is our world, humans. Not yours.
Of Earth Final Conflict.
Tonight at 9 Eastern on WGN.
15 million people in America have type 2 diabetes. And my own grandmother lost her battle. If you have type 2 diabetes, it's more important than ever to watch what you eat and exercise regularly. And if that's not enough, ask your doctor about adding Avandia to your daily routine. Avandia is different from some diabetes medications. It helps your body use the natural insulin it's already making to help lower your blood sugar. With the addition of Avandia, a lot of people have been able to lower their blood sugar.
Avandia in combination with insulin may increase the risk of serious heart problems. Because of this, talk to your doctor before using Avandia and insulin together. Avandia may cause fluid retention or swelling, which could lead to or worsen heart failure. Avandia is not for everyone. If you have severe heart failure or active liver disease, Avandia is not recommended. Some people may experience weight gain with Avandia. Premenopausal women may be at increased risk of pregnancy. To check for serious liver problems, blood tests should be conducted before and during Avandia therapy.
Diet, exercise, and ask your doctor about adding Avandia. You can be stronger than diabetes.
Your Pepsi, y'all.
Hi, joint, totally joy in the Pepsi now.
This track is missing something. That's the flavor.
All people in the party, if you ready to rock, let me see you throw your hands in the air to the joy of Pepsi.
Arnie would get really excited when we shoot people in the stands and they'd see themselves in the monitors and they'd really get excited about being on TV. And he'd always tell us that we made their day. Well, Arnie, I think you made a lot of people's day.
Our thanks to Wynn Griffiths, one of our fine cameramen here at Wrigley Field and WGN Sports. And we go to the top half of the fourth inning. Cubs are enjoying a 2-1 lead over the Pittsburgh Pirates. And, well, another guy, Joe, that Arnie used to love to help us tease is in our booth. He's one of the fine radio voices of the Cubs and a Cub legend, a soon-to-be Hall of Famer, we know. Cub third baseman and broadcaster Ronnie Santo.
Well, Chip, it's a sad day today. I've known Arne Harris for 40 years, and I think, Joe, of course you're younger than I am, but you remember when I clicked my heels after every win in 1969, and I'll never forget the fact that Jim Hickman hit a 3-run homer to win that ball game that kept us ahead of the Cardinals by 1 run. So I got at home plate, I'm pounding him on the helmet, and then I run down the left field line where our clubhouse was, and I jumped high in the air and click my heels. I don't even remember doing it. And then I go home and watch the news, and Arnie had me clicking my heels.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
You know, we've been talking all day, Ronnie, about how Arnie had this just unbelievable ability, and you as a player maybe could respect this an awful lot. He was like a manager in the TV truck. He knew how the game was supposed to be played, and he knew the angles that the game was supposed to be played. Really, baseball is a game of angles, and he covered it very well. And as a player, you'd watch the game, and you'd know exactly what was going on.
Oh, absolutely. He was the best. Anytime Arnie'd always find something for the broadcaster to talk about. He just had a way about him. He knew this game, and he was such a big Cub fan. I mean, you know, even after the games, that's all he would talk about on the plane rides, were the Chicago Cubs, what we needed, what we look forward to next year. He was just a fabulous person. It's just a shame, you know, you see him yesterday, and he's smiling, having a great time, and all of a sudden he's gone.
Warren Morris is in the batter's box. Chad Hermanson is the man at first base, and he's running. And the pitch lined up the middle and into center field for the Pirates, who have men first and third with nobody out. Did you ever go play the ponies with Arnie?
I went track a couple times with Arnie. In fact, very early in my career as a player. You know, Don Zimmer loved the ponies just like Arnie, and so they took me Cahokie Downs in St. Louis, and Arnie's was something. You know, of course, this particular year, you know, with Fox doing half of the games and WGN, and Arnie would always come in the booth, and he'd come in when there was no ponies being run that particular day. He was the best, but he was a great handicapper, and he liked the long shots.
Here's Rob Makoviak as we visit with Ron Santo as he remembers Arne Harris. If you had to pick one moment, one meeting, one conversation, one laugh, one story about Arnie, what would it be? What would be the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of his name?
Well, like I said, you know, Arnie was always smiling. You know, if there was any stress in his life, you'd never know it. That's one thing about Arnie. Whatever problems he had, he'd never talk about it. He'd always be concerned about somebody else. And I guess the moment that I remember and I think about is the one I talked about. I didn't realize I ran down the third base, down the left field line and clicked my heels until I got home. And I'm watching TV, and of course you're looking at the highlights because when you hit a home run, Joe knows what it's like. He loves to watch that. You love to watch that swing on TV. And then when I saw that, I said, only Arne Harris. That's what he's all about. That's what he's always been all about.
What I loved was anybody he met, whether it was for the 10th time or the first time, it was, hey, pal.
Yeah.
Hey, pal. Everybody was either Arnie's pal or kid.
Yeah.
No matter how young, no matter how old.
Well,
right?
Chip, yeah, that is true. And also, you know, this year since I just came aboard, he's had a new phrase too, and he's always said, "How you doing, dog?"
Yeah, he could say that. That's right. That's right.
So
well, he could change with the times. I mean, it was, you know, in this industry, change is the one constant. Certainly in this game, you know that as a former player.
Absolutely.
And to be able to stand the test of time for 38 years in an industry where you're really only as good as your last edit, it's just a remarkable accomplishment.
Well, you know, of course, WGN, when I played, they did every game, and it was a superstation at that particular time.
Right.
And Arnie just loved it. I think Arnie, when they started splitting the games, I know that he didn't enjoy that at all. He wanted to do every game. He loved being at the ballpark.
But if there was a positive that came out of it, he had a chance to spend more time with Arlene, whom he just always went out of his way to talk about. And we'd tease him, you know, hey, you know, give Arlene a wake-up kiss when you get home from this road trip at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're going to take Arlene out for an expensive dinner, and what'd you buy her for a birthday gift or a wedding present? And he'd invariably tell either you or me or Steve to stick it, which was, which was just his way of having some fun with us.
You and Stoney were on him unmerciful.
And he loved every minute of it. That was the fun part. But with the time that he had off, the memory I'll have is the time he got to spend with his grandchildren. He, you know, you're a grandfather, you know Sammy Brown. I mean, when you have those grandchildren and you have that chance that he had, and to see his face light up even more with those little kids was just breathtaking.
Well, Arnie approached me, and I didn't realize this, and I don't know which son it is that has diabetes and was contracted diabetes. And he came up to me, and we must have talked on a plane ride for about 2 hours. And I told him not to worry, and evidently his son is doing very, very well. He's on the insulin pump, and he was so concerned. You could see, that's the first time I've ever seen really very concerned. Of course, you're always going to be concerned about your son or daughter. And the other thing I looked at, Arnie, I couldn't believe when I heard he was 70 years old.
Well, I've heard 67.
Yeah.
You know, he did hang around Grandpa a long time, so maybe he learned.
Well, you never know with Arnie whether he was 70 or 67.
Yeah, well, you know,
like Chip. Like your grandfather.
Well, you know, they're up in heaven arguing about their age, about who picked up more checks, about who picked more winners, and probably who made the more dramatic exit. That's probably what they would be talking about.
Well, he really has lived a wonderful life. He's enjoyed every minute of it, and God bless him.
Absolutely, Ronnie. Well, we know how tough this day is for you. We know how tough it is just for you to move from booth to booth. I know a lot of fans have been asking us, how are you feeling? How's your foot? How's your surgery? What's new with that?
It was a tough time in my life, going through 3 surgeries, but finally the sore is healing, and it's going to take some time, but I can be patient about that. It's just good to be back. Because I was going stir crazy at home.
You were, Vicky was.
Well, Vicky also.
Exactly.
She got me dressed so quickly. The first game, I came back on Friday, but it's been tough. But getting back here in Wrigley Field, and it just makes you feel good.
It's family.
It's good therapy.
It's family.
Yeah,
it really is.
Definitely family.
Well, you've got an entourage bigger than Elvis, pal, but you deserve it. 2 beautiful nurses. Boy, I tell you what.
I've never had an entourage.
If that's what it means to get sick, I'm all for it, pal. But thanks for being here with us, buddy. I know it's tough for you to get around, but I know that everybody appreciates your thoughts and your prayers.
Well, thanks. It's been a good year for the Chicago Cubs, and I'll be seeing both of you this winter. And
absolutely, we'll
look forward to next year.
We'll see you after the ball game. Ronnie, thanks a lot. Okay,
Ronnie.
And tell Pat to come over too if he wants to say hello. Okay.
Very good.
Ron Santo, Cub legend, as we continue on in this 4th inning. Pirates have runners 2nd and 3rd, now 2 outs. Mendy Lopez will face Juan Cruz with first base open and the Pirate catcher coming up. By the way, again, for those of you who were inquiring, the services for Arnie are going to be on Wednesday here in suburban Chicago. And Arnie's family has requested that in lieu of flowers, if you would like to remember Arnie, that donations be made to the Leukemia Research Foundation, I believe is the name of the group, or to the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation. So I'm sure that several of us will be honoring Arnie in that way. And just another way that Arnie gives a little bit of himself, asking you to help others as he helped so many other people too.
You know, Chip, you hit it right on the head, and also Ron Santo, when you said the baseball fraternity, this is a big family. And there's nothing better than to come to the ballpark and spend time with your family. And that's what Arnie did. And that's why in the times I knew him since 1982 up until now, I never saw him had a bad day. I never saw him upset. He was always smiling, always laughing. And no matter what the situation was, whether you only had 1 camera go down or you had 4 cameras go down, he was always patient, said it's going to be all right.
Yeah, he was one of the guys. And Pete Toma tells us and reminds us, Gary Matthews Jr., who now plays for the Pirates. You know, in this era when you think players are condescending and they're heartless and whatever, some of those opinions are deserved because some of the players are, but a lot of them are great people. But Gary Matthews Jr., who just suffered a heartbreaking loss, he was let go by the Cubs, was on his way to Pittsburgh, went to the TV truck to say goodbye, not to us or to Pete, but the first guy he wanted to say goodbye to and thanks to was Arne Harris.
Well, and that shows you what players think about Arne Harris, because he's a guy that is behind the scenes, but with the players, he is in front because you see him. You see him in spring training every day. You see him at the clubhouse. You see him on the, when you're doing the games, you hear him in your ear. And every now and then you'll listen to the ear, and I'll adjust my headsets wanting to hear Arnie's voice. But he was a great person. And that's why Gary Mathers went by to say goodbye to him, because he meant a lot to him.
Keith Osick's in the batter's box. No balls, 2 strikes. And that missed. Two balls, 2 strikes. Houston has taken a lead over the Cardinals, by the way, 2-1 after 4. A Houston win means they win the Central despite finishing with the same record as the Cardinals.
And they won't have to play Arizona.
So a lot is on the line. Two balls, 2 strikes, bases full of Pirates. And Osick is hanging in there. Phillies trying to blank Cincinnati and finish their season in great shape. Great year for Larry Bowa and the Phillies. They lost 97 games last season. They've got a great shot to go 86 and 76. A remarkable turnaround for Ed Wade and the Phillies team. And Cruz strikes out his 7th man. He strikes out the side. He's been a little wild. He's walked 4 men, but he hangs in there with a 2-1 lead over the Pittsburgh Pirates as our WGN crew says goodbye to Arnie.
You will find to be narrow of mind.
I've known Arnie for 12 years, and he always made fun of the fact that I'm a diehard White Sox fan. And today, Arnie, I wear a Cub hat for the first time in my life in honor of you.
You can laugh when your dreams fall apart at the seams, and life gets...
WGN Superstation. Trust me. All the comedy, all the action, all the drama. America's Superstation. There's a shark. Bringing you the movies you'll always remember.
I can still feel you.
And the moments you'll never forget.
Keep going.
WGN Superstation. Yippee-ki-yay. Your Superstation. The movies you love.
Holy cow.
The movies you want.
This is just the beginning.
WGN Superstation.
Welcome to the show, MLB 2002. Rated E for everyone.
I left the truck unlocked. No, his ears were a bit bigger and the nose was longer. Next thing I knew, the truck was gone.
This him, sir?
Yeah, that's him. That's the guy.
Can't get enough peanuts? Get a Payday. Sweet caramel and tons of salty peanuts.
Looks like somebody's driving the calcium bus to Strongbones City.
Hey, how'd you get in here?
Doesn't matter. So, did you win?
Win what?
Cyber loot. Dude! Get a gallon of milk. Peel the sticker off the cap. You have a combined 1 in 5 chance to get EA video games, free music, or EA video game discounts online.
Cool.
So, how about going halves on that sandwich?
Leave.
Cyber loot on cabs and in stores now.
Dude, that's so cold.
Out.
This is WGN Superstation.
We'll try to get him. Ball 3, strike 2. Here goes. Ground ball. Tuckered up with it. The throw to bag. It's a no-hitter. It's a no-hitter for Kenny Holtzman. Look at this. Oh, brother. It's a no-hitter for Kenny Holtzman.
And yesterday we nearly saw a no-hitter at the ballpark as Julian Tavares went 7 innings in a third without giving up a base hit. As our salute to our dear friend Arne Harris continues here at the ballpark with one of his voices with whom he had the pleasure of working, our dear friend Vince Lloyd. Vince, how are you today?
Well, like everybody else who knew Arnie, very, very sad, but wonderful memories of him, too. I know how you guys feel, but I talked to his wife, Arlene, a couple of hours ago, and she seemed to be doing very, very well. Talked to one of the boys, I don't know whether it's Craig or Lyle, and they seem to be okay. He was just an outstanding person, and I'll never, ever forget him, and nobody who ever knew him would forget him. You just showed Holtzman's no-hitter.
Right.
And, you know, the first strong memory I have of Arnie is another no-hitter, and one of the most dramatic ever at Wrigley Field. Guy made his first start in a Cub uniform. He just traded for him. Don Cardwell. In the first game of a doubleheader, Cardwell threw a no-hitter. I went down in the field to interview him near the home plate screen, and Arnie was with me. I remember wrapping the cable around my arm so if a fan grabbed it, tugged it, or anything, it wouldn't break. Good thing I did, because that's exactly what happened. Arnie pushed the fan to keep him from really severing the cord. And Cardwell got so nervous and scared after about 5 minutes, he said, "Vince, I got to get out of here. These people are going to kill me." I got 2 security guys to escort him to the dugout. They didn't. They were not able to keep the fans off the field. But when I got through, they had pulled that cord out of the microphone. And that's it. That ended the interview.
Wow. Well, we just had the videotape replay of that no-hitter, and the fans did have a mob scene on the field. We're going to show it again, Vince. I don't know if you can see it where you are joining us by telephone, but
Arizona, south of Tucson.
Yeah, so you'll see the shot of Arnie bouncing around on the field, rushing out there, trying to find Cardwell in the midst of those players celebrating, and he's the guy in the black suit.
Aha, okay.
Dancing around. So we'll run that tape here in just a second. And there he is. We've got him spot shotted for you. See him in the middle with a white shirt?
Yep.
That's Arnie. A ground ball hit to the shortstop by Robert Machado. Vince, can you stick with us for another half inning? I know you've got a lot of things you'd like to remember Arnie with.
Oh, sure.
Stick around.
Whatever you want.
Appreciate it, partner. We head to the 5th inning.
Big-time basket at the Bulls lead by 3. Inside of 3 minutes to go.
Compelling. I don't trust this man at all. Vincent has cheated on me not once, but twice.
New this season, real life-changing television.
You get help now, you start paying me back my money, or I'm out of here.
Hosted by Michael Baisden. Talk for a walk.
Weekdays at 11 Eastern on WGN Superstation.
We salute the American spirit.
We pledge our allegiance to the flag.
We will stand with our fellow airlines.
We vow to continue.
We will keep America flying.
We will rise.
The long jump. The dash. Life is like a sport, and your feet take the impact hard. But new Stride Guard insoles absorb 50% more heel impact than these Dr. Scholl's. Take more impact in stride. New Stride Guard insoles.
It's your Pepsi, y'all.
Condo! Hi, 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 hi. Join, join in the Pepsi now.
This track is missing something.
That's the flavor.
People in the party, if you're ready to rock, let me see you throw your hands in the air to enjoy it.
Pepsi.
She seduced me. That's saucy. I told you if you moved it to New York, things would change.
Change of High. Weekdays at 3 Eastern on WGN Superstation.
Arnie, I don't know what to say except that we're going to miss you.
thanks for everything. That's about it.
Those are some of the shots that Arnie helped make so famous on the WGN Superstation. And again, our thanks to our crew today for a job very well done. Vince Lloyd still joining us on the telephone out in Arizona. And Vince, I've always wanted to know, when you and Jack and Arnie were working all these WGN telecasts, who got whom involved in the ponies first? Because we know as much as Arnie loved the Cubs, he loved the racehorses too. Now, who's responsible for that love affair?
Well, I think probably it was just a mutual feeling. You know, a lot of times, especially when you're on the road and you got night games, what are you going to do during the daytime? And a lot of times, Lou, Boudreaux, and Jack, and Arnie and I would hit the nearest racetrack. Now, I heard Rosie tell about one story at Arlington Park. I'll give you another one. This was at Belmont in New York. And Lou and Arnie and I had gone out to the track. And there were some other Cub players there, but they'd gone out separately. We were going to catch 4 or 5 races before we went to Shea Stadium. And there was one race, I think about the third one. There were 2 or 3 real long shots in there. And Lou and I decided we'd take one of them. Arnie was sitting with us. He didn't say anything. The race goes off, and it turns out to be a neck-and-neck finish with our long shot that Lou and I had being nosed out at the wire by another long shot. Arnie jumped up and said, I got him. And Pizarro's got him, too. That was Juan Pizarro, who was then a pitcher with the Cubs. We looked at him and said, what do you mean you got him? He said, well, he said, Juan told me about him. I said, you didn't tell us? He looked kind of sheepish, but he went to the window and collected. The horse paid $32. I don't know how much he had on him, but I know it wasn't $2.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And whatever he had it wrapped in a rubber band in his back pocket.
Now, we get in the cab to go to Shea, and Lou is needling him like crazy, for not giving us that horse. He said, well, guys, I'll pick up the tab on the cab. That was about $5 or $6.
And I guarantee you, on the expense report, it's a whole lot more than that.
Oh, yeah. We ripped him about that for about 2 weeks.
Jack, we've talked today about what it's been like for this generation of the Cubs, or excuse me, Vince, this generation of Cubs broadcasters to work with Arnie. What was it like in your day? Obviously, television was not as sophisticated a medium as it is today. There weren't as many cameras. There weren't as many tape machines. In fact, there may not have even been tape machines. And live baseball via satellite, Vince, was not nearly as prevalent then as it is today. What was it about Arnie's creative genius that made you all so successful as Cubs broadcasters?
Well, let me tell you, he made us. He really did. I think Dennis Fitzsimmons touched on that when he was on with you earlier. But Arnie really did make us, and I think he helped make the cameramen. I remember talking to him one day. He had 3 cameras that year to work with. That was it. And as Fitzsimmons mentioned, they were bulky, they were heavy, they were hard to move. Most of the time, the cameraman had to have another helper with him to move the camera, just to pivot it around or to move it back and forth. He couldn't do it by himself. And I asked Arnie about it one day. I says, how do you determine where you have each cameraman, not the position, but the cameraman himself? He says, each guy has a little trait. And he says, I've learned it as time goes on, where they like to be and where they prefer to work. He says, that's why I try to have them, because they'll work better then. And he said, you tell this guy he's doing a great job here. The guy on the next camera is going to work harder to do better than he did. I think that's where a lot of this started. We've had the most outstanding cameramen at WGN television through the years, I think, that there are in the country. And Arnie helped inspire those people. Now, you talk about the shots he takes of fans and the outfield, the Ivy.
Hey, Vince, we got a commercial break. Can you hold that thought and come back with us for the bottom of the 5th?
Yeah, I hope I don't keep talking all day.
No, you're doing great. We'll get that last comment for you and come back as we'll take a look inside the truck here at Wrigley Field.
If you can use some exotic booze, there's a bar in...
Go ahead, Malin. Slopper. Are you high, Clary?
With a little humor and a great deal of strength.
I would rather have 30 minutes of wonderful than a lifetime of nothing special.
A unique circle of small-town women bond together. Academy Award winners Sally Field, Julia Roberts, Shirley MacLaine, and Olympia Dukakis. Steel Magnolias. October 20th on WGN Superstation.
This is for the people that I call my friends. We're just getting started when the long day ends. This buzz for you. And you and you and you. This buzz for you.
Nice collection, Terry.
Nice reminder, too, Howie.
Of?
Of the Sprint store at Radio Shack.
You're 2 minutes slow.
Actually, I'm thousands of minutes ahead.
Get 3,000 Sprint PCS minutes a month only at Radio Shack for just $29.99 a month for 6 months. Plus, save up to $75 in mail-in rebates.
But these clocks are still off.
Well, somebody should reset them.
While somebody else...
Makes a few phone calls.
Only at the Sprint store at Radio Shack.
This copyright telecast is presented by authority of the Chicago Cubs and may not be reproduced nor retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, he made it a family thing. I think, you know, it's a close-knit group here. We spend a lot of time together, but everybody, fans, people working here, broadcasters, players. I mean, he made it a special feel here. He was a big part of what goes on at this place, and you don't replace that.
Thanks to Kevin Tampany, and once again, let's rejoin Vince Lloyd. Vince, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we had the end of the half inning a moment ago. You were about to mention Arne's ability to capture the faces of the fans at the ballpark so dramatically well.
Started, Chip. They had some pretty bad ball clubs back in the late 50s and early 60s. And it went beyond the early 60s to the time that Leo DeRocher came in. And that included the era when Mr. Wrigley had the idea of rotating manager every 2 weeks. But the teams were so bad, Arne one day was showing some pictures of a couple of pretty girls at the ballpark. And he'd show a little boy like you see here right now. And I asked him about it. I said, how do you come up with those with only 3 cameras to work with? Well, he said, the team is so bad, Vince, you got to do something. And he said, maybe the fans would rather see friends of theirs at the ballpark than watch the ball game sometimes. That's how that started. And he developed it to a fine art. I get to watch other telecasts of other teams here. Arizona, Colorado, Giants, San Diego. None of them is able to give you the feel for the fans at the ballpark that Arne does and did for all those years. Just like a shot like this one right now, that little boy. They don't do that. Well, Arne started it, and they'd all be smart if they would copy it.
You're right about that, Vince, and that's why we're here. It's to bring the game to the fans, and we really appreciate you being with us here this afternoon. Thanks for sharing your memories of Arne Harris, not just with us, but with an audience that you enthralled for so many years here on WGN, and best wishes to you and your family out in Arizona.
Well, I thank you very, very much. We're all going to miss him and love him very, very dearly.
Yes, we do.
I hope Harry and Lou are up there talking about the game today and having some fun.
Well, they're up there cheering the Cubs. They're winning 2-1. The Bears are winning on the road, so Arne has his hand in a couple of things for the city of Chicago today. And again, Vince Lloyd, thanks for being with us. And let's welcome in Jerome Holtzman, baseball's historian, who's just written a book, Chicago or Baseball Chicago Style is the name of it. And Jerome, when you think of baseball Chicago style, as far as TV is concerned, you think of Arne Harris.
Well, he was the great producer of, so far as I know, of all time for Chicago. And he'll certainly be missed. He was a terrific guy. I wasn't with him a lot. We traveled together a lot, but he was always at the racetrack. I was in my room writing stories.
Doing your homework, as it were.
Doing my homework.
Never
that's right.
playing hooky. I know this is probably very presumptuous, but you have so much knowledge of baseball's Hall of Fame. I don't know of any, or perhaps many, men who have been behind the camera or in the production truck who have been enshrined in Cooperstown. But certainly would a man like Arne Harris be one of those pioneers of the game who deserves to be remembered forever?
Well, he certainly deserves to be remembered. I don't know of any broadcasters who are producers that are in the Hall of Fame. But if the day comes that they enshrine those people, then Arne Harris really should be number one, because he was a pioneer producer. He was a great innovator, and as Vince Lloyd said, he really paid attention to the fans. That's what really was his, I think, his greatest asset.
I'm sure you watched many, many Cub games here in Chicago, or White Sox games, and you've seen games broadcast in other markets by other teams and other networks. From your perspective, what was it about Arnie's style that made him so unique?
Well, first of all, he knew baseball. He could anticipate plays. He knew where the next, where the next play might be. And so if a guy was going to be sliding in the third, Arnie knew that there was a possibility of that happening, and he was ready for it. That was one thing. And as I said, he also on the road, when I saw him a lot, we were together a lot on the road, although not at the racetrack, he would be discussing things with other with other local TV people, and he was always in charge. He always seemed to know more than anybody else. So if there is a Hall of Fame for producers, there will be. He certainly should be the top one.
This game is a young man's game, and when you are around it as long as you have been, as Arnie was, my grandfather, Jack Brickhouse, the years go by, but you still think of yourself, I'm sure, as a 25, 26, 27-year-old person. And I know Arnie always felt that way, and I'm sure you do feel the same way in your profession with Major League Baseball.
Well, I still feel a lot younger than I am, but I know it's not true. But sure, when you're covering baseball like I did all those years, and Arnie and others, you're with younger people, and being with younger people keeps you young. And that's one of the reasons I enjoy coming to the ballpark so much, because I see people that I've known, and the ballpark was my office, not the Tribune or the Sun-Times. This is where I worked.
Sammy Sosa's in the batter's box as the Cubs hit here in the fifth inning, and a chopper hit to the shortstop. There are 2 outs, and instead of throwing to first, they'll try to get Young in a rundown, and the Pirates execute that. Jerome, can you stick around? We want to talk more about baseball Chicago style as we go to the 6th.
Well, sure, I'll stick around.
I hope that she turns out to be someone.
The chase is on. Everything I feared has come to pass. A deadly hunt to rid the world of this new kind of human being.
The Genetic Security Agency will take superpowered freaks into custody under a cloak of absolute secrecy.
This is it. The series premiere of the most anticipated new action hour of the season. This is Mutant X.
Tonight at 7 Eastern on WGN.
Gentlemen, if you keep dogging it, we're going to run all night. Now, let's go. Come on, let's go. Move, move, move. That's better. That's looking.
What if stopping was as hard for you
Just run it off. Run it off. Come on, show me some hustle.
as it is for your car?
It's okay.
Treat your car right with Raybestos Quiet Stop Brakes, new at Pep Boys. Keep your wheels clean and save up to $40 on these ultra-quiet, low-dusting brakes.
Oh, it's going to be a long season.
All you need to know is where to go. Pep Boys.
Welcome to the show, MLB 2002. Rated E for everyone.
PlayStation.
did you expect? Bob Dole?
Follow Mark Martin and the Viagra racing team this season.
Get to your doctor for a checkup and find out if a free sample of Viagra is right for you.
And for more information right now, race over to Viagra.com.
For me, being a technical director, sitting next to Arnie, I can truly say he was the sole individual who made it entertaining and enjoyable for all of us as crew members to come to work every day and do what we do and be behind the scenes and bring Cubs baseball to the viewers at home. Arne Harris will be dearly missed, and I can truly say that he made it fun for me to sit next to him all these years and push the buttons and do what he always called, and he will be dearly missed.
Scott Chasen is the new Cub pitcher. He just struck out Chad Hermanson to open up the 6th inning. We're visiting again with Jerome Holtzman, the official baseball historian, who's penned a great book, Chicago Baseball Style, A Tale of Two Teams, One City. And Jerome, we always used to kid Arnie and tell him he was around when Shoeless Joe Jackson was in his final season in the major leagues, but I know in your book you've got a couple of great stories about Shoeless Joe Jackson.
There's a very illuminating chapter on Shoeless Joe in the book, telling about his participation in the 1919 White Sox scandal. Some of the material has never been published before, but I think it's a very interesting chapter, and after anybody reads the chapter, they might not think that Joe Jackson is innocent. A lot of people who are very sentimental feel that he was innocent. Well, he really wasn't.
And how about the femme fatales?
Well, that's a chapter, you know, I don't know if you know this, but the Cubs lead the league in having their players shot by scorned women. It happened twice. In 1932, Billy Jurgis, the star shortstop, a young shortstop at that time, handsome guy, was going with a woman named Violet Popovich, and she was known by players throughout the league. And he discovered that, and he came home from a road trip, and he said that she called him, she came to his room at 7 o'clock in the morning at the Carlos Hotel, which is right nearby Wrigley Field. And he said to her, you know, we can't go out anymore because we're in a pennant race, and I've got to get my rest. And she went to her purse and pulled out a little silver gun, pistol, and she shot him 3 times, once in the stomach and twice in the side. And he lived to tell the story. And then later she became an actress and a singer in Chicago. She was known as the woman with the silver bullet, the silver gun. And then years later...
John, we got to stop you right there. We got to take a break. We'll be right back here at Wrigley Field.
Chicago Cubs baseball is brought to you by Pepsi, the joy of Pepsi.
Code Red, officers down on command.
On the season premiere
Dylan.
of Andromeda, it's an enemy they hoped never to face. It will destroy everything and everyone. Too many.
That's impossible.
Too powerful. Too late.
We're not back in 3 hours.
To turn back.
Blow it to hell.
Don't miss the stunning season premiere. Andromeda.
Tonight at 8 Eastern on WGN.
Enjoy Pepsi, y'all. Joy in the Pepsi now.
This track is missing something.
That's the flavor.
I left the truck unlocked. No, his ears were a bit bigger and the nose was longer. Next thing I knew, the truck was gone.
This him, sir?
Yeah, that's him. That's the guy.
Can't get enough peanuts? Get a Payday. Sweet caramel and tons of salty peanuts.
Life is like a sport. The impact of each step impacts more than just your feet. But new Stride Guard insoles absorb 50% more heel impact than these Dr. Scholl's. Take more impact in stride. New Stride Guard insoles.
Watch The Cosby Show. Laugh. Repeat. The Cosby Show. Weekdays at 4:30 Eastern on WGN.
there to make you feel better. If you're having a bad day, you come in the truck, he would always make you laugh. He was, you know, it'll be said a million times today how much that he was everybody's pal. And he was. There's no question about that. And if he was ever...
2 quick pitches, 2 quick outs here in the 6th inning. And Jerome, can you quickly finish that story? Because the Cubs are trying to get out of here in a hurry, it looks like.
Well, 15 or so years after Jurgis was plugged by his former sweetheart, Eddie Waitkus took one for the club. A young woman named Ruth Steinhagen went to the Edgewater Beach Hotel and at midnight called Waitkus, asked him to come to her room. She was love-crazed for him, and she said if she couldn't have him, nobody else could, and so she plugged him too. So the Cubs lead the league in that department.
Jerome, we appreciate you being here, and it's a great book, Baseball Chicago Style. It's not just about the Cubs. It's a book that will appeal to White Sox fans too. All those great White Sox teams are chronicled, the good, the bad, the ugly. Jerome Holtzman and George Voss put together a wonderful book, and we encourage you to pick it up at your local bookstore. Baseball Chicago Style from one of Chicago's very own, the great Jerome Holtzman.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerome. Thanks for being here with us. 2 balls, no strikes to Ricky Gutierrez. 2 outs in this 6th inning. Jimmy Anderson trailing in the game 2-1, and that one ticketed towards center field and playable for Gary Matthews Jr., and that will retire the side. Stay tuned, friends. Al Hall, one of Arnie's co-workers for nearly 4 decades, is on the phone. He'll join us when we head to the 7th inning next.
It's no matter, darling, where you are.
Inside an ancient alien artifact, Earth's final stand is about to begin. A new enemy arises.
We have unleashed the final conflict.
And a hero emerges.
You're not like the other humans.
Yeah, I get that line.
In the season premiere.
This is our world, human. Not yours.
Of Earth Final Conflict.
Tonight at 9 Eastern on WGN.
Who'd you expect? Bob Dole?
Follow Mark Martin and the Viagra racing team this season.
Get to your doctor for a checkup and find out if a free sample of Viagra is right for you.
And for more information right now, race over to Viagra.com.
15 million people in America have type 2 diabetes, and my own grandmother lost her battle. If you have type 2 diabetes, it's more important than ever to watch what you eat and exercise regularly. And if that's not enough, ask your doctor about adding Avandia to your daily routine. Avandia is different from some diabetes medications. It helps your body use the natural insulin it's already making to help lower your blood sugar. With the addition of Avandia, a lot of people have been able to lower their blood sugar.
Avandia in combination with insulin may increase the risk of serious heart problems. Because of this, talk to your doctor before using Avandia and insulin together. Avandia may cause fluid retention or swelling, which could lead to or worsen heart failure. Avandia is not for everyone. If you have severe heart failure or active liver disease, Avandia is not recommended. Some people may experience weight gain with Avandia. Premenopausal women may be at increased risk of pregnancy. To check for serious liver problems, blood tests should be conducted before and during Avandia therapy.
Diet, exercise, and ask your doctor about adding Avandia. You can be stronger than diabetes.
The beads as well. 1 ball, 2 strikes, the pitch. Hey, Cubs win the division! Cubs win the division! Cubs win the division! Fitzgerald is out on strike. Look at that scene on the field.
Nobody will forget 1989 up at Olympic Stadium in Montreal. Arne Harris was there as the Cubs clinched the East on a late September day. And as we go to the 7th inning, we're joined by one of Arnie's co-workers for a long, long time. Mr. Al Hall joins us by telephone. Mr. Hall, good afternoon to you, sir.
Well, first of all, Chip, don't be so formal. It's Al.
Well, Al, nice to meet you. We haven't had the pleasure of meeting in person, but your reminiscences with Arnie.
Well, you know, Arnie was a very patient guy, and I can attest to that because in 1972, he spent the summer trying to teach me how to cut baseball. And It was a very nice try on his part, but I could never keep the ball going one way and the runners going the other way. That was very confusing to me. And you know, when people think about how this game is covered, that's the true difficult part about this, because the ball is going to the outfield, the runners are running around the bases, and you got to cut in between cameras. And Arnie was a master at that, an absolute master at that. What is amazing, if you take a look at the control room in the truck, they had a shot of it a few minutes ago with when Joe Vinci was talking about his remembrances of Arnie. There's monitors all over the place. Arnie was a master at spotting something on the monitor that had to go on the air. Whether we had 4 cameras, 7 cameras, or whatever, he got that shot on the air and made it work and made it look beautiful.
And isn't it true, Al, that the sign of a real good producer or director is when he doesn't really even have to ask the camera people or the broadcasters to either shoot or talk about something that needs to be seen? It's almost a seamless extrasensory perception that those 3 people have to bring those pictures home, and Arnie really had that, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And the thing that's good about the WGN crew, and this has gone back since baseball started on WGN in 1948, the crew was always tremendously interested, tremendously concerned in how well baseball was covered. And that was well developed when Arnie took over. He developed it even more. And they got that esprit de corps, that feeling of, we've got to cover this just right. And the guys were always on their toes, looking for shots, getting this, getting that. And that's, you know, Ron Santo was talking about that, the heel-clicking shot. I'm sure that some cameraman swung over just in time to get that, and Arnie saw it and grabbed it.
And those are how the great shots in baseball are made. You think of Carlton Fisk in the World Series, begging that ball with his body language to stay fair as he smacked it toward the green monster.
Yes, that's true. And Arnie had this innate ability. I don't know how in the world he did it, but with 6 or 7 cameras there, he knew exactly which camera to put on the air to cover what was going on. He knew the game that well. He knew the cameras and the cameramen that well that he was able instinctively to cut to the right shots to bring the drama, to bring the excitement to the viewer at home.
And how about the ultimate compliment that a camera shot is named after the producer, the Arne Harris hat shot? I don't think I've ever heard of anything like that anywhere else in the production part of our business.
No, the hat shot is uniquely Arnie. That's got to be the way it is. You know, I'll tell you how well respected Arnie was around the business. When he went on vacation in December and early January, I would fill in and do the basketball games. And I'd walk into a truck, some remote city somewhere. The first question is, where's Arnie? He's on vacation. Oh. I said, thanks a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, the crews respected him everywhere, all across the country. They respected him. They knew he was good, and they knew he wanted the best out of them, and they gave it to him.
All of us, Al, have had a chance to spend time with Arnie away from work. Any special memories you have of Arnie away from WGN-TV, away from the TV truck, on the plane, on a bus, in points far between home and your next broadcast?
Well, for some reason or other, I was in Philadelphia with Arnie, and we were doing a Cubs game. I'm not quite sure why I was there. It was in 72, obviously. I must have been just trying to learn how to do this stuff. But he and Lou and Vince and I went to the racetrack.
Now there's a surprise.
Yeah, right. Well, what I know about racetracks and races is that they involve horses. And that's it. And we formed a corporation. And I said, what's a corporation? Well, they took a Lou explained that to me. And then when it got to be my turn to place the bet, oh dear.
Right.
It was not a good day.
Right.
Yeah. But that was fun.
No balls and a strike to Keith Osick. And a little broken bat roller back to the mound. And the easy flip to first takes care of the Pirate catcher. 2-man out. Al, again, you worked with Arnie. You knew his motives inside and out. For any young producer who's out there and who has admired his work, or whomever it's going to be that follows in his footsteps, what advice would you give to them, either to take from Arnie or do differently than Arne Harris, if there was anything?
Yeah, pay attention to detail, because that's what Arnie did. Arnie paid very careful attention to detail and then learned the game. Because Arnie knew this game. I think as some of you guys have said through the afternoon, he could manage. And Arnie knew the game that well to cover the game, you've got to know what's going to happen and just almost read people's minds.
Well, Al, we really appreciate you spending some time with us at the ballpark today. I know Arnie's family appreciates you remembering him and sharing those memories with our audience today. And we wish you the best, and we hope to see you at the ballpark in 2002.
Well, thank you very much. I will be there. I will tell you this, it's not a pleasure being with you, but it is a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much, Al. We feel the same way. Thank you so much for being with us today. 2-1 is our score as Humberto Cota hits against Scott Chasen. Cubs trying to close out this season with a victory. And Chasen, good glove work, takes care of the pinch hitter, and that does it for Pittsburgh in the 7th inning. It's time to stretch at Wrigley Field.
See at the Lowry organ as they perform God Bless America. 2001, let's get on our feet. Let's sing good and loud for the U.S. of A. and Arne Harris. This one's for you, pal. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Harry's watching and he's probably saying, Arnie, don't mess it up. So folks, help me out. Let's go, Gary. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I never get back. So it's root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. USA!
Why don't you get us something to cool this fire down?
I got just the thing. I got 2 logs of that fire.
With a great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down. Make it a Bud Light.
That's not that bad.
I left the truck unlocked. No, his ears were a bit bigger and the nose was longer. Next thing I knew, the truck was gone.
This him, sir?
Yeah, that's him. That's the guy.
Can't get enough peanuts? Get a payday. Sweet caramel and tons of salty peanuts.
Here comes the hook. Got him! 20 strikeouts. He ties the Major League record.
And as you heard on a taped piece we did with Arne Harris last year, that was one of the most memorable games that Arnie ever saw. Kerry Wood's 20 strikeout performance in that Rookie of the Year season back in 1998. And hey, a Major League record set today. Cubs, the first team in Major League history not to have an opposing pitcher throw a complete game against them, as Jimmy Anderson's been knocked out of the contest. Michael Tucker's in the box with the Cubs leading by a score of 2-1. And a couple years ago, I went through what this young man has had to go through today, and that is filling the shoes of an unfillable situation. And our producer, Pete Toma, is joining us upstairs. And perhaps Pete worked more closely with Arne Harris than any member of our crew and sat at his left elbow learning the tricks of the trade for the last 4 seasons now. And Pete, I know, I don't want to speak for you, but it still hasn't sunk in, and I'm sure even more so for you, as close as you were with Arne every day.
It definitely hasn't, Chip. Started to sink in a little bit more this morning when I walked into the truck and, didn't see Arne, didn't see his briefcase with the Cubs sticker that we all used to love to pull off there now and then, and
right.
To not see him there, and every time that door opened for the hour before the game, you just hope that he would come in, but it's going to be different. But as you said more than once, Arne would want us to do the game and do it the way he taught us so well to do it.
Joe made the good point earlier. We're sitting here in between innings, and Joe, you're right. You keep waiting for him to say, "Okay, kid," or "bup bup," or
right.
His little phrases that he used to say all the time that
right.
you just took for granted. That Arnie's going to be here tomorrow,
yeah.
and John McDonough said the same thing. This isn't happening, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, last night, we had the chance to say our goodbyes to Arne, and this morning when I woke up, I had hoped that, I had dreamt that whole thing, but unfortunately,
well, what did you learn most from Arne? Either personally, professionally, maritally. You're on the way to getting married.
Oh boy, well, it's funny. We were joking last night, and Arne, I told Arlene.
I mean, we know you knew how not to pick up a check. You learned that very well.
Well, that was the first thing he taught me, actually. Yeah, and
how about the expense account trick?
yeah. Although mine is pretty right on, actually. Bob Warwell can attest to that. But actually, the one thing about Arne, I mean, he taught me so much about TV. And Wrigley Field and the Cubs, and but boy, he taught me an awful lot about life and how to treat people, and I'm still learning that. I'm not Arne Harris as far as how he treated people. I mean, every crew we went to, Chip, every city we went to, this crew here, one of the best, and they love Arne because he was such a gem. Always had a smile, treated everybody great, and what I learned from him in the truck will come in handy certainly, but I learned an awful more about life from Arne and how to treat people.
Wasn't it fun though when you'd sit on the bus and you'd hear him get going about something, whether it was no Smarties on the plane or he couldn't get a bottle of milk from the flight attendant
go
back to the movies, no movies.
Yeah.
And
he watched that Sinatra video, I can't tell you how many times, but so long as he had it. And it's funny, Mark Brady and I today, we kept looking back at each other and kept saying, some of his little sayings he used to say all the time, we used to ask him, because when he would call numbers, a lot of times the TD would take the numbers for the cameras, so he used to always say, now don't take these numbers. And then say, and Brady and I used to ask him on purpose, like people's phone numbers, just to have fun with them, and just some of the great sayings that he used to say. I mean, the truck downstairs, so many people would come through there to see him.
As Corey Patterson is called out on strikes.
So many people would come by to see him, and he used to tell them the same thing all the time. If the Cubbies win today, pal, you got to come back tomorrow.
Well, we'll say the same thing. If the Cubbies win today, Petey, we got to go back and get them in 2002, okay?
That's right.
Hang in there. Be strong.
We're all better off for knowing Arne Harris.
No doubt about it.
Just one of the clues.
The chase is on.
Everything I feared has come to pass.
A deadly hunt to rid the world of this new kind of human being.
The Genetic Security Agency will take superpowered freaks into custody under a cloak of absolute secrecy.
This is it. The series premiere of the most anticipated new action hour of the season. This is Mutant X.
Tonight at 7 Eastern on WGN.
Nice collection, Terry.
Nice reminder, too, Howie.
Of?
Of the Sprint store at Radio Shack.
You're 2 minutes slow.
Actually, I'm thousands of minutes ahead.
Get 3,000 Sprint PCS minutes a month only at Radio Shack for just $29.99 a month for 6 months. Plus, save up to $75 in mail-in rebates.
But these clocks are still off.
Well, somebody should reset them.
While somebody else
makes a few phone calls.
Only at the Sprint store at Radio Shack.
Find the seams. It's the splitter. No, it's the high heat. Did I lock my keys in the car? Is that so, sir? Going for my Pepsi. Sammy.
The 1 liter Big Slam from Pepsi. More of the taste you go for.
Jarvis fires away. That's the fly ball. Beat the left. Back. That's it. Hey! He did it. Ernie Banks got number 500. A line drive shot into the seats and left. The ball tossed in the bullpen.
We head to the 8th inning, and Carlos Zambrano is on to pitch for the Cubs, who lead the Pirates by a score of 2-1. We continue our remembrance of Arne Harris with another dear friend of ours from the Cubs traveling party, the traveling secretary of the Cubs, Jimmy Bank, who is an eternal source of torment for Arne because he never could find Smarties to have him on the team playing.
It wasn't intentional.
No, I understand perfectly. But he thought it was. He said, how in the world can you have all this other stuff, but you can't find Smarties? He loves Smarties.
Well, on the first leg of every trip, he would take all of them, so there were none for the next two legs or 3 legs on the trip.
That was Arne, who always, no matter how long the trip was, carried one bag. Just a regular duffel bag. It was, we're going out of town for 2 weeks. Arne, come on, you got to take more than one suitcase. Never.
And you know what? I never saw it in the hotel lobby. I don't know where it went. But
well, he had to have been a traveling secretary's dream as Wilson hits a line drive into center.
Unbelievable. And Chip, let me just say one thing. Perhaps the greatest tribute, the finest tribute today to Arne is the beautiful and professional job that you and Joe and the truck are doing with the montage and the tribute to Arne you're carrying on, and he would have been very proud of what you guys are doing in the truck and up here today.
Well, he's probably saying, hey, get some more runs for crying out loud. Come on, the over-under's 3. I need a little help.
Well, you know what? I can say honestly, you guys worked with him, and you're trying to be as professional as you can, but that guy loved the Cubs. I mean, I didn't talk broadcasting with him, but you guys did. But he loved this team almost more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, we've never sat in the truck with him. You've done that.
Right.
What was that experience like?
Actually, it was hilarious at times. And when I first came to the club and went in there, he told me to come into the truck, and I sat there. And the first big shock I had, and I think John McDonough alluded to this earlier, I heard him say a couple of things. I didn't know who he was talking to, and then I hear your grandfather say the same thing, and I'm like, but Arne just said that. Well, I came to know that he was feeding you guys stuff constantly, which is a credit and something that people don't realize is how sharp his mind was and how funny he was. How many times did we laugh on the road with him? It was unbelievable.
Every time we take that silly sticker off his briefcase, it drove him nuts. We'd walk in, we'd stay at a Ritz-Carlton hotel, and they'd have to up our room rates because they'd run out of Ritz-Carlton pens because he'd stick them in his briefcase, you know.
And you know what we're doing right now is the best way to honor Arne, and that's laugh, because you know what? He may have been the best I've ever seen at taking grief. We would go to dinner, and he wouldn't say a word all night, but we would talk about it in front of him, and then finally, maybe an hour into the dinner, he'd say something like, where did that come from? And it was a shot at all of us.
Oh,
just wiped us out. He made us laugh, and we had so much fun.
Stoney always tells a story about going out to dinner with Arne, and every time we'd go to a seafood restaurant, what would Stoney try to order for Arne?
Lobster.
Or clam chowder.
Clam chowder, right.
You know, Arnie ate clams. He loved oysters and he loved his shrimp. And we'd go to a place called Shuckers in Houston, Texas, at the Gallery, and eat there. And every time Stoney and I would go there, Stoney would try to order him some clam chowder. Because Arnie ate it one time, and his foot swelled up like a balloon. And so Arnie would say it as only Arnie could say it, you can stick that clam chowder up your gigi, was exactly the terminology he would use.
Well, the Stoney also, on that rare occasion when Arnie would pick up the check, Stoney would always make sure we all order lobster or
great humanitarian that he was.
And I will, in all fairness to Arnie, and I've got a witness sitting right next to me. Our last dinner together on the road this year, Arnie picked up the check.
Yes, he did.
And God bless him.
I mean, he tried his best. He feigned a rotator cuff. He feigned a sore shoulder. I mean, he thought he couldn't get the button of his pants pocket open to get the wallet out. But we joke about his little quirks, and really, when we talk about how miserly he was, the exact opposite is true. We did that to poke fun at him. And I know you would agree, Jimmy, there wasn't anyone more generous, I'm sure, with his money or with his time or with his spirit than Arne Harris. When he spoke of all the kids he worked with, Arne with his kids and grandchildren, he felt all the time he was away from family. It wasn't he was going to do it.
And you know what? And this is, you hear people say this about people all the time after the person's gone. But I can't remember the guy ever saying a bad word about him. I mean, he was always upbeat, except when the Cubs lost. He'd be down, but he would still find something good about the game. And, you know, it's like I